Hey guys, it's TechOfree here, and welcome to episode 26 of my custom story creation tutorial for Amnesia Rebirth. And today we're going to be talking about custom sounds. So I feel it's still a little early to talk about custom sounds, mainly because I don't have any official documentation on custom sounds. I have been able to get them to work, and it's by using the same method that we would use in the original Amnesia Dark Descent. It seems to be the same. But I'm unaware of any new additions or changes or anything like that because there's no official documentation yet on the Frictional Games website on SNT files for HPL3, and also I've done some testing here, and this seems to work. So what I think I'll do, I want to kind of get this shown to you guys so you guys know how to add custom sounds to your custom stories. If I found a more official way down the line, I'll probably do a follow-up episode on custom sounds. But I know custom sounds is probably one of the biggest parts of making your own custom story. So I want to make sure I get this out here for you guys and get you guys going on your custom story. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So some of this might be subject to change again. So just bear that in mind when we do this. But I think for the most part it'll stay about the same. So let's go ahead and get started. So to summarize how we did this in the previous versions of Amnesia, in the previous version of Amnesia the Dark Descent, we would create our file. We would have our sound file, and then we would create a SNT file that had some details about how our sound should be played or handled by the game. So that the same thing is still what we're gonna do here. So I'm gonna show you guys how to get your sound and get the SNT file created for your sound, and then we'll go ahead and get it playing in our game. So first thing you want to do is make sure you get a sound that you want to play. So mine is gonna be this one right here. So I'll go ahead and play it so you guys can hear it. It's just gonna be like a trumpet fail noise. Yep, so that's pretty much it. The trumpet fail noise is just one that I had in a folder somewhere. But of course you can pick a more relevant one for your custom story. So notice this one is in MP3 format. I think this still works with MP3s. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure the documentation for HPL2 says that you can use MP3. But it's usually better to use OGG because it's a smaller file size, and if you plan on distributing your custom story, you probably should stick to using OGG files over MP3s. So I'm going to go ahead and convert it. If you've seen my original video on playing sounds, we probably realized that this is going to be the same way that we did in that video. But what I'm going to do, I have a program called Audacity, which is a very popular audio editing software. I'm going to open it up in Audacity and then convert it over to OGG. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up with Audacity, and it's opening up now. So here's the sound file. Of course, we can play it and everything. But what we're going to do is just going to go hit File, Export, and then I'm going to do Export as OGG. And of course, any other exporter type software would work. And we're going to go ahead and just put it in the root directory of our custom story folder. We're actually going to create a new folder here for our sound. But for now, let's just export it here. I'm going to put it all in lowercase, just so I don't have to remember to capitalize anything. And we'll go ahead and hit save, and then we'll hit OK. And now it should be saved. So let's go ahead and close out of Audacity here. We'll hit no to save, to not save that. And now you can see we have it right here. It's called fail, and you can see it's an OGG file. That's what we want. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the MP3 one. I have a backup copy. Of course, you don't have to delete your own. You could just put it back where you had it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make a folder for our sounds. So I'm going to do new folder, and I'm going to call it sounds. And we're going to go ahead and drop this OGG file right in our sounds folder right here. So we're going to move it in there, and then what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and open up this resources config file here. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Mine is opens with Notepad. We can open it with whatever you want. And pretty much what we want to do, similar to the way that we added a new path for our music, we're going to add a new one here. and we're gonna just kind of put it in the same spot as the other one here, and instead we're gonna call it the same name as the folder that we just created. So it's gonna be sounds, and we're gonna make sure this is set to true. So what we're pretty much doing here is we're telling our game, make sure you look in the sounds folder here in the custom story folder. Make sure you look in the sounds folder to find any assets that you might need to play in the custom story. Then by setting this to true, you're telling it that it should look in subdirectories as well to find any sounds that you might have. So now I went ahead and saved that, and I'm going to go ahead and close it. So now our game should look inside of our sounds folder for any files it might need, any files that we ask it to find for us. And since we said that, since we toggled on add dirs, subdirs, then it would look for subdirectories. So if we wanted to categorize our sounds, we could put like something here like like fail sounds or whatever. You can categorize your folders here. Just try to keep the spaces away from them. So like sounds for fails or something like that. But we're not gonna make any subfolders. We're just gonna leave it in the root directory here. If you have a lot of sounds, I definitely recommend categorizing all of them. All right, so now that we have our fail here and we have our whole sounds folder configured for our custom sounds, let's go ahead and create our SNT file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to do new, and I'm going to do a new text document here. And it doesn't matter what we call this now. I'm just going to leave it like this first. We're going to edit this, and then we're going to save it right into this folder here with a new file extension. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. Should we just have a blank text document? So now in the description below, I'll link a Pastebin link to what I'm going to paste in here. This is going to be the format for the SNT file as per HPL2. Again, we're doing this as per the format for HPL2, as this seems to work. And again, I will update I'll do an update video if this changes down the line. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to go ahead and paste it in here. And again, this is going to be in the Pastebin below, so just go there to find it. So pretty simple here. We pretty much just identify what our sound file is here, and we're going to go ahead and put in the name of our sound here. So that should match the same name, including the extension of our sound here. So this is going to be fail.ogg. So we're going to do fail.ogg, and then now these are all the properties. These are all the default ones that were on HPL's wiki. I don't believe there's any more than this for HPL2. Where this might be different for HPL3, there might be additional entries here that I'm unaware of. So if I find out any more that you can put here, again, I'll do a follow-up video. But for now, we're just going to work with these just so you guys can start getting your sounds and your levels, and you guys can update them down the line if there's any further details on it. So the key ones that I'm going to show you here, one, volume. What volume should the sound play at? If you want it to play at its full volume, you can put 100. I don't think you can go past 100 volume. The sound if you want the sound to be louder, you should just edit it in like Audacity or something to be louder. But this only tells the game at what volume this file should be played at, and right now it's set to 100, which is the full volume of the sound. If you want it to do like 50% or something, you can change that. Next, min distance and max distance. This is the default minimum and max distance that the sound could be played. You can set new settings for this. You don't have to use these when you call the function, but by default, if you don't specify anything, this is what the radius of that sound will be. So right now, this one is just set to 1 to 50, so it's a pretty big area. It pretty much could be heard from majority of the area of the map. I'm just going to leave the default here for 1 to 50, but if you want it to be a shorter distance, go ahead and change this. But again, we can actually specify this in our script file, so I'll show you guys how we do that in a little bit. And then some of these I'm going to glance over. I believe random just kind of tells it at what random, it should have started at a random interval if you want to start it at a specific interval. If you want to fade out the end, if you want to fade in the start, and again, these we could like the fade into the start and end, we can specify when we call the function. So that's super important here. Stream, I don't think I have a definition for this one. I'll probably link something in the description with the wiki on the SNT file. So if you want to look at more of these details, you can go ahead and look at it down there. Again, a lot of this will probably be subject to change some of this will be subject to change going forward if I get some updated info on the SNT files. Next is loop, whether or not the sound should loop. This one, make sure if you want your sound to just continuously play, then make sure this is true. If you don't want that, then set this to false. Right now it's set to false, so the sound will only play once. Typically sounds you just play it once, unless it's like an environmental sound or something like that. So that's set to false. And then I think this is to use like 3D sound, the priority of the sound. So we play one with a higher priority, then it'll be changed. And yeah, so let's leave it at that. Again, updated instructions probably going forward if there's anything that I find out. But I just wanted to get you guys going on your sounds and your custom stories now. So you should just leave the defaults here and play with this on your own and see what you can manage to get with this. And I'll link the details for the SNT file in HPL2 in description. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and save up this file now. We're gonna do File, Save As, and we're gonna save it in the same folder here as our fail noise, but we're gonna go ahead and make sure we call it the same as our sound here, fail. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna change Save As type to all files, and then we're gonna go ahead and put at the end of the name here fail.snt. So this will pretty much tell the Notepad to save this as an SNT file rather than some other file like a text document or something like that. So with that, we're going to go ahead and hit save. So let's go ahead and hit save here. And then we have our file here. Now you can see it right here. So we'll go ahead and close this, and we can go ahead and delete this new text document here. If you need to edit this going forward, just right click it and then hit edit. Edit with, well, you don't have one here, but you can just open with Notepad here. You can just open with, but you should be able to edit it, no problem. So now let's go ahead and talk about how we're gonna use this in our script file. So we'll go ahead and just back out of here. We'll go ahead and minimize this here, and now here we are in our CodeLight application that we've used for scripting. So I'm going to show you guys two ways to use the sound. First, I'm going to show you in the level editor, and then I think I'll show you in the CodeLight application. So let's go ahead and open up our level editor here. So here's our custom story that we've been working on. So what I'm going to do is I want to place it down kind of like this sound here. Again, we talked about these in the first episode on sounds. I'm forgetting what episode number that was, but I'll link it in the description as well, so you guys can see what sounds, what we did in that episode. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click here on the sound icon, and we're gonna hit ... here, and then if by default you should be on this screen right here, the sound event screen, and this will let you kind of like play any in-game sounds. Like for example, the intro sequence, you can hit play here and you should get the sound playing. Don't know what this one's supposed to sound like. I don't hear anything here. Oh yeah, there it goes. There's something playing there. So yeah, so you can specify sounds, but these are only the built-in ones in the game, and these seem to be protected right now. I can't seem to locate the sound files. I think for copyright reasons they have them hidden, so that you don't mess with them. So of course we're not gonna mess with their files or anything like that, and that's why I can't reference their SNT files at the moment. But again, if we're able to get a hold of it, then in the future, then we can reference theirs. So what we're gonna do, if we wanted to load our own one, we can click here and we can do sound entity, and then what we could do is go into our custom story folder. So here we are. I think by default you'd be in the root directory here, but you can go into your mods, our wake folder, and then sounds here, and then there's our sound, and you can see some of the details that we had for in our SNT file. You can see it right here. So you can also play the sound here as well. You can hit play and you should hear it as well. Sometimes it takes a second to buffer up, but it's not the greatest way to play the sound. But let's go ahead and load it up here. So let's hit load, and now we have it right here. So let's go ahead and drop it, and we can click it, and then we can bring it up, and that's it. And we have our sound in our level essentially, you can see some of the details we specified are right here as well, that were in the SNT file. You can specify a volume yourself here. By default, these would be the default values here for the distance. If you wanted to use your own distance, you can specify that right here. You know, you can hit the check, and you can set, you know, 1 to whatever. So you can set your own whatever you want the sound distance to be when the player interacts with this radius here. But we're not going to be testing with this here. With this one, we're going to be mainly playing it through our function in the script file. But if you're unaware of how to do this one, again, I'd reference my first episode on sounds where we pretty much show how to play these sounds. So right now, pretty much if you load up your story, once you walk in this radius, it should play. But instead of spending time on that, let's just work on showing you guys the function that we're going to be using to play our sound. So let's go ahead and go to our CodeLight application now. So what I'm going to do is play in this trigger area here. So in our level editor, we have this trigger area here, and when the we have a collide callback in this trigger area, and when the player steps into this collides with this trigger area, we execute the function on collide player trigger 1. And if we look in our CodeLight application, this function is right here. And when all state equals 1, which means that the player has entered the area, we can execute code here. If he did anything else, like leave the area, we don't want to do anything with it. We just care about when the player enters the area. So when the player enters in the area, we can execute any code we want. So here's where we're going to play our sound for testing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new line here, and I'm going to show you the sound function that we're going to use to play our sound today. So we should have used this one in the original sound video as well, I believe. So that's sound underscore create entity, and they have a few variations of it, but we're going to use the first one here. Let me zoom you guys in and see if you guys could see the whole description here. So let's do sound underscore create, and then there's the whole list of functions that we're going to put in here. So I'm going to walk you through every single one so you guys can see what they do. Specifically, yeah, this is the one that we're going to do. So this is the full sound effect. Of course, you don't need to put all these variables. I'll show you where you guys can stop putting in variables, but if you want any of these here, I'll show you guys what they all do. So let's hit enter here. So first, you need a sound name. So this isn't necessarily the name of the sound in the folder. This is the sound that you're going to reference. This is the name of the sound that you're going to reference in your code. So let's just say later you want it to come back and stop the sound that's playing, or continue the sound that's playing, or something like that. You want to come back and do something with the sound. You would reference this name right here. By convention, we could just call it the same name as the file. So we're just going to call it fail. Then we're going to do comma space here. And now this is the actual name of the sound file. So this is just going to be, since we have the sounds folder added to our list of resources, we could just go ahead and just type in the name of the SNT file itself. So that's going to be fail.snt. Make sure you include the .snt or else it won't work. Now this is the entity that we want to play the sound at. Let's just play it at the player rather than playing it at any specific entity, because we just want the player to hear it. And then we'll do comma space. And now where you see these equal signs, pretty much we don't need to provide any further information at this point. The fact that these have equals this, equals that, means that they all have default values. So if you don't specify anything further than this, if you just leave it at this point right here, that's perfectly fine. but I'm going to show you how to use every bit of this function here. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of mention what all of these do. So next is the fade in time. So this is how long the sound should fade in for. You know, the time it takes for the sound to reach max volume after you call the sound. We're going to leave it at 0.0f as it is here, so that there's no fade in. Next is whether or not we should save the sound. So saving the sound will pretty much keep the sound in the game's memory, so that if you need to play that sound again later in the level, you have it saved. So if this is a sound you plan on playing multiple times in your level, I'd recommend you set this to true. Otherwise, false if you're not planning on playing it again. Next is the target volume. So this is just the volume that the sound should play at. This is a number between 0 and 1. So this won't amplify your audio. This will just pretty much play it at either max volume or play it at a volume less than max volume. So if you don't want to play the sound at the max volume because it's too loud or something, you can put like 0.5 to play it at 50% a volume or less. We're gonna put 1.0f just to play it at max volume. Then we'll do comma space again, and now here you can put the, you know how we specified the custom distance, the distance that we wanted the sound to be able to be heard from in our SNT file. So we can kind of overwrite that here and put our own custom distance that we want. So if we didn't want, you know, 1 to 50, we could put our own one. So we'll go ahead and put 1 to, let's just do 5, so something different from what we have here. So we'll do 1.0f and we'll do 5.0f here, and then we'll go ahead and close this out with a semicolon. And that's pretty much it for the sound command. So this is the whole function to play a sound. So if everything went right, you should be able to execute this function, and our sound should play, and it should play in this trigger area once we step in it. So let's go ahead and launch up our game here, and let's have a listen, see if we can hear our sound effects. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, guys, here we are back in our custom story. So we're gonna go ahead and walk through this barrier here, and we should hear our failed sound effect play. So let's go ahead and walk through and let's hear our sound. And there it is, that's our sound. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Once you know how to do it once, it's pretty easy to just start, you know, putting in a whole bunch of sounds and playing all these sounds. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. If you wanted to loop constantly when the player enters this area, you could, you know, put on loop or whatever, and do that as well. But with that, that's pretty much it. Fairly short video. Again, I will update you guys, do an update video if there's a significant number of new functions that we could use, or a significant number of variables we can put in that SNT file. I'll go ahead and make an update video on this. But otherwise, this is pretty much all it takes to add a custom sound. This is again going by the way that we did it in HPL2 for the original Dark Descent. So yeah, so with that, I'll go ahead and wrap up the video here, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Leave a like on the video, and comment on what you see in future episodes. I think in the next episode we might be doing outdoor environments, but we'll go ahead and see about that one. With that, have a good one, guys. Bye.